Do you think it would be possible to execute the sneak attack by Roger in today's tennis? What are the requirements? Can Djokovic do it?
Well, not easy to do. I mean, actually, it's probably one of the most difficult shots possible because you're right behind the service line and you need to do a half volley coming from a serve of the opponent and then rush to the net. The most difficult part is, you're very close to the service line, extremely close, and the ball can go anywhere on you, but also far away. Of course, you're cutting the angles, and then you have to be extremely fast reacting. Imagine a serve on which you are right behind the service line and you have to do a half volley. Of course, you don't do it on a first serve, you do it on a second serve. I mean, not so many players could do that. Probably Novak, he's the best returner on tour, so he could. Probably Alcaraz too. Out of those two, difficult to imagine someone doing it, but the quality of the second serve now on tour, if you see how Alcaraz is serving second serves throughout this tournament, how fast, sometimes it's very close to a first serve. It looks incredible, almost impossible to do a sneak attack.
Why do female tennis players bend down when hitting the ball?
I think every player, male or female, has to bend. It's very important because you need to be fully balanced when you hit the shots. This happens mostly when on a second serve they're attacked by the opponent on a ball that comes very fast, deep in the middle. You see this more in female tennis than male tennis simply because female players play much flatter, which means that the ball lands much lower. When you play flat on grass, the ball stays extremely low. The rule when you play tennis is to be as low as you need depending on the ball. You need to bend your knees all the time, but when the ball is extremely low, you have to be even lower so you can have the head of the racket go under the ball. And if you stand too high, it's going to be impossible to do it. So that's why you see this more in women's tennis than men's tennis. I think because women play flatter, and you see this more in Wimbledon than in any other tournament.
Even with the correct forehand movement, my ball often goes too high. Why?
Well, first of all, sorry to say that, but how can you be sure that you have the correct motion? Who said that? Maybe you can send me a video, I'll tell you if it's the correct motion or not. I don't know exactly also what you mean by too high. You mean with too much topspin and a high ball, or flat high? If it's flat, it's just the orientation of your racket head. And if it's with spin, I would say it's quite easy to decide how high over the net you want to play when you hit with topspin. So please next time send me a video and I'll try to be more precise in my answers.
I noticed a problem. When I play tennis for 5 or 6 days and then take a break, I have late timing in my shots. They're not so great and I'm disappointed by my new level. Why?
You're losing the timing. And I think the main reason is probably because you have late preparation. If you have late preparation, it's very easy to be out of timing. And of course, the more you play, the more timing you get. If you have an early preparation, I think you will solve the problem. So work on that. I did a lot of videos about early opening, which is preparation first and then movement. To open your swing, your weight should be shifting in the direction the ball is going. Your hips, torso, and arms all turn as one unit, taking the racket with it as you move. And make sure you do that, because if you move first and then prepare and you prepare after the ball bounces, then I'm not surprised that after a few days off, you're off timing.
I can hit decent backhand in normal rallies. It all crumbles down in matches, especially in crucial points. How do I build a backhand that stays fine-gained?
There are two things. First of all, when the ball comes slow, you have more time to think. And if your backhand is your weakness, you have time to think about potentially missing it. When the ball is fast, you don't have time, you just react. Second, some backhands are more adapted to counterpunch rather than generate pace. In this special situation, the key that will solve actually both of your problems is to move up to the ball. When you move up to the ball, first of all, your body weight goes through more. Second of all, you hit the ball at the moment when the ball has more pace, because the more you wait, the more the ball loses pace. If the ball is slow, take it early is going to be helpful. And three, you won't have time to think about your backhand because you're going to move up and take the ball early. If you wait, this is where you start to think. Try this and tell me if it works.
I always lose to kids that are slightly better. How should I keep a good mindset to stay consistent in USTA matches to increase my UTR?
So first of all, you're judging. You're judging your opponent being slightly better than you. It's already the wrong mindset. You don't come to a match saying, this kid is a little bit better. And that's the problem with the all rankings. It gives you the feeling, considering the ranking of the other one, that is potentially better than you, which is not true. A match is a match. Maybe he's more consistent than you in winning a certain level. Doesn't mean that you don't have the level to beat this guy. So this judgment affects the way you play, for sure. So please, I have a full masterclass on my YouTube channel about mental during the matches, how to prepare for the matches, how to be performing during the matches. Watch this, and I'll tell you all about your next victory, mental during a match. You should go watch it and use it, and then you tell me if it works.
What are your comments on my idol Coco Gauff? I'm worried by her US Open performance.
Yeah, Coco didn't play well there in this US Open, and actually the US swing. She did a coach change right before the Open, which is always tricky because she needs to readapt to somebody new. You shouldn't worry for her level. I mean, throughout the season, many times she showed her level was extremely high. We all remember this final of Roland Garros. Can she improve? Yes, she can still improve a lot, which is a great sign. She's already double Grand Slam winner, and she can improve, which is, I mean, for the future, for her future, is amazing. Some players are number 10 in the world, which is amazing, but they cannot progress. She's number 2, she has 2 Grand Slams, and she can progress a lot. But you shouldn't worry. I think she was at a period of time where there was more doubt, and when you are more doubt, your weaknesses become weaker. That's always what breaks. And we saw during this US Open that her weaknesses became bigger during the tournament, but that was because lack of confidence and higher pressure because she wanted to do so well at the US Open. It's not a structural problem, so you shouldn't worry. It was really a conjunctural problem because lack of confidence, higher pressure in a certain moment. Now she has weaknesses, like most of the players, and she still needs to work on them and improve them, and I'm sure she will. She made a coach change. We'll see how it works with this new coach, but she definitely wants and will improve on those points. And her level this year was amazing most of the year, so you shouldn't worry.
I'm the father of a 10-year-old tennis player. What kind of strength should I use for my kids playing 2 hours 6 times a week?
It's better to use multi-filament than monofilament with young kids, because monofilaments, which is mostly what is used on tour, are much harder. So it's harder on your joints, especially on your elbow, on your shoulder. You know, you have time to play with monofilaments. You should let your child's body develop until he is more adult before going with harder strings like monofilaments.